Yeah. But it's unfortunately the world's extra stuff. Hi, Kate.
Hi, everyone.
Monica is coming in person.
Councilmember Ward too, so.
Gary.
He doesn't come up towards 4.
You want me to chair?
Yeah, you're okay. Yeah.
Can you guys hear the music? Stephen and Kate?
Yep, I can hear you guys.
Yep.
Music though, we've got the band warming up for tonight's concert at 6.
Ooh.
Not on our end.
I feel like I can kind of hear it.
Well, they're not doing it right now.
Well, you know, they just stopped, so
Oh, then I'm hearing things.
yeah, it sounds like.
Right back.
Steve,
Good job.
so
Yeah.
somebody else.
There is another person declared to speak.
She just commented on something that is.
Oh, maybe.
Alex, your signs in the back of my truck.
Yeah, we'll need them, but
You don't
not
know
right now.
They can be in my yard. Till
Yes. Get off my lawn.
yeah, not at this big force.
Jim, I think you or Kate are the seniors that are calling in. Which of you are going to run the meeting?
Jim is.
Got it.
I don't think we want to put Kate on the spot tonight.
I mean, I could handle it, but I think that you are the best one for the job, Jim.
I've had more experience with abuse.
That's one way to No, can you hear the music now?
Oh,
Yeah, okay, that's a good speaker. There's microphone then.
Okay, follow.
Is that the mic that we're using right there?
Yeah, that's the mic and camera.
Wow.
Okay, I'm going to Paul Ravella. Hi, Paul, it's Debbie.
Hello.
Hi. Do you want to address the commission tonight or?
Not, I didn't have anything specific that I wanted to mention. I was just more interested to see what, in the presentation that Director Underhill was going to give to council on the 23rd.
Okay, all right, well, if you want to address the commission, just raise your hand.
I'm sorry?
If you do find that you want to address the commission, just raise your hand. I'll keep an eye out for it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Public comment. Okay.
Okay, I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 5:32. And Debbie, would you please call the roll?
Yes, okay, so we have chairing the commission tonight, Jim Woodward,
Here.
Monica Johnson here, and virtual, we have Kate Truesdale
here.
and Stephen Young.
Here.
We have Councilmember Ward present in person. And staff, we have, well, excused, we have Chair Mark Husbands, Vice Chair Christine Adams, Commission Member Karen Miller. Staff, we have Director Christina Underhill, and Recreation Manager Allison Boyd.
Okay. Number 4 on our agenda, Approval of minutes of the July 8th, 2021 Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
I will motion.
Okay, and is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any corrections or additions?
No, looks good to me.
Hearing none. We can vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Like,
Opposed? Motion carries. Schedule public comment.
okay, so we have Paul Rogala, who has joined us. And Paul, if you decide you do want to address the commission, raise your hand now, and if not, we'll see that.
And Zeke, do we have anyone down in the community room?
As of right now, no, we do not.
Okay.
And we have Charles Parker, who has been on the meeting. Charles, would you like to address the commission tonight?
I'm here just to listen, but I might have a few questions after I hear what's going on with the dog park situation.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Okay. New business, Romans Park reopening, and Director Underhill.
Yeah, so we will be reopening Romans Park to the public officially on August 21st, which is a Saturday. The opening ceremonies will be from 9 a.m. until 10 a.m. And we'll have commissioners from Arapahoe County and their open space program, as well as some council members will be in attendance. And you all are invited as well. If any of the commission members would like to say anything, just let myself or Debbie know, and we'll add you to the agenda. Otherwise, we plan on having some donuts out there and coffee to celebrate the reopening of the park. As many of you know, we've talked about this in the past, some of the improvements to the park is a new restroom facility, new playgrounds, new basketball courts, a new tennis, and new tennis court as well, 2 tennis courts out there. The basketball court is post-tension, which should last us a very long time compared to asphalt-based courts. And that was just poured, I believe, 2 weeks ago. So unfortunately, it won't be painted for the reopening ceremony. It'll be painted the week after. It's got to cure for about a month before they can put anything on it. But we've also installed new fitness equipment and slackline equipment, which is exciting to have. And recently, Keep Inglewood Beautiful Board is giving $7,000 to restore and repaint the mushrooms that are in that park. And so we already have an artist commissioned to do so. It'll be nature themed. It looks pretty cool. So we're excited to really liven that park back up and open it to the public on the 21st. Just a side note, the playground is currently open. We were able to take the fence down early so kids can get out there and use the playground before the official reopening, as a lot of kids have been drooling over that playground for months now. So I'm happy to answer any questions with that if anyone has any.
So the restroom is all operational.
We are waiting for a meter to be installed and hope that happens before the 21st, but it is brand new.
Yes, it
Nice.
is.
Yeah.
I saw it sitting over there ready to be set.
Oh, did you see?
It
Yeah.
was like, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Any other comments?
That's all.
No, it's just exciting. It's been a long time coming for Romans, so it's great to see the end.
Yeah, we're excited too.
Okay, item number 8, old business, review of the August 23rd City Council presentation of off-leash parks.
Yeah, so as you all know, we've been working on this off-leash program for many years now, and hopefully we're in the final stretch to improve the program for all park users as we move forward. So the presentation to council will happen during a study session in 2 weeks on August 23rd at 6 p.m. We're on the agenda. I'm not sure if we'll be at the 6 p.m. start time or later in the evening, but this is an opportunity for us as staff and the commission to present all data and information to council, so hopefully they can make a decision on the program moving forward. The Parks and Recreation Subcommittee met this last Tuesday and discussed the survey findings, talked about the off-leash task force, and it was discussed that it was difficult to come to a consensus with the task force because there's differing opinions on how the program should go. We did take a poll vote from the task force to get an idea of just if there was any consensus, and there was on a few items such as Cushing Park, adding a fenced dog park there. That seems to be uncontested with that. But I'm gonna have Kate share what the subcommittee recommendations will be. And again, we'll be presenting all data to council that we've collected over this last year and beyond. Honestly, there's a lot of data out there regarding our off-leash program. One comment I made to our subcommittee is I've been reviewing data back all the way to the start of the program and emails and comments that public has made and council discussion that Jim, you were a part of for many years. And honestly, this has not changed in the 20 years as far as we have people on both sides of this. People really love off leash because they love the social aspect, and we get that. And then there's also the other side of the safety of allowing dogs to mix with the various uses of the parks. And so Kate, if you'd like to share what the subcommittee came up with and what we'll be presenting to council. Now, the other piece of this is we will vote as a commission tonight if you want to move forward with these recommendations, or if there's any tweaks we need to make to the program before it's presented to council on the 23rd for the recommendations. So Kate, take it away.
Absolutely. So when we discussed as a subcommittee, me, Stephen, and Mark, we got together and we kind of thought about the entire time that we've been working on this project. And for us, it just keeps kind of going back to the same issues that we were having at the beginning in determining which park should be off leash or not off leash, or how we should arrange it. And, we do keep going back to that concept of, children and safety in the park. And I mean, all people's safety in the park really, but also like sports fields being a primary thing too. So our recommendations are changing very slightly, not very much, but just a little bit to kind of accommodate what we were hearing from the community in terms of specific parks that they're very passionate about, but also kind of letting the parks be their own thing and not be super fenced in and just, a little bit too many dogs. Personal opinion. But so what we are going to propose is, of the existing parks that are currently dog parks, Centennial and Duncan. Hold on a second. Let me start backwards. So Northwest Green Belt will continue to be as it is, off-leash dog park, no fences. Emerson will remain not an off-leash dog park, but like an on-leash park, and no fences there also. Cushing Park, we'd like to move forward with putting in the dog park that we've talked about in the master plan. Canine Corral will continue to be an enclosed dog park. And then for Jason Park, which we feel that's the one that the most of the community has a feeling one way or the other on, we are going to suggest that a fenced dog park goes in Jason Park, and it is up to the Parks and Rec department to determine where that fence is, if it's on the southern side, at the northern side, if it's temporary, what that looks like based on what maintenance looks like for them going forward. Also, we are, very supportive of the licensing program. We think that that's great to do moving forward. And I think that's it. That's all that I have. Oh, the other thing I was going to say is that we also decided city council needs to make a decision on this. It's time to decide something. We can't keep going back and forth and having this conversation. And we also feel that things should be implemented on January 1st, regardless of what it is, and, have a plan in place for getting the funds that we need for various parks. That way it just really kind of ends this conversation and we can, as a community, move forward from this issue and hopefully all enjoy our parks together.
Thanks, Kate.
Stephen, did I get everything?
You started with, I don't know if you finished on Duncan and Centennial though. Did you?
No, I didn't. You're right. Duncan and Centennial, we are going to say are no longer off-leash dog parks. They will be on-leash required, and we will not be suggesting that a fence goes in Duncan. We think it should just be a beautiful open park.
And Emerson would also remain.
Yeah, Emerson will just be as it is. So it's not an off-leash park right now. It'll continue to be on leash.
Yeah, Emerson, Jim, was tough. There was a lot of Emerson was very similar to Jason, but sort of on a smaller scale. We the last subcommittee meeting, there was a large group of well, I guess there were 2 or 3 of the residents who were immediately adjacent to Emerson who called in and were vehement and gave a pretty good argument about how it shouldn't be off leash. And then there was also a decent amount of the data coming out of the survey that supported that. So that was one of the, I think that was, Kate, I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, that was one of the few that we changed from the initial proposal, right?
Yes, yeah, the original proposal, we said that we should make Emerson off leash, not fenced. We are just gonna let the neighborhood kind of use it as they have been and want to continue using it as an off leash area. But we flipped on that one, so leashes on at Emerson.
Okay. Charles? Charles, if you can unmute. Are we on mute?
All right, let me, there. I think we both, there. No? Yeah. Can you unmute yourself?
You still have Charles muted. You
Yeah.
unmuted Paul.
There you go. How's that?
That's good.
I think we're trying to at the same time.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to why the designation with Emerson Park changed. I mean, that's my main concern is Emerson Park, and it has been for years now. And I mean, I don't understand how we can get 350 plus signatures from the neighborhood to have that be an off-leash park, and then 4 or 5 people that don't want it to be an off-leash park get to have the say.
Yeah, so our thought behind Emerson and really kind of around the entire suggestions that we're making is essentially that off-leash dog parks are not really going to be a thing unless they are fenced in. So there will be a fence at Canine Corral, at Cushing, and at Jason. But any other park that does not have a fenced area for dogs is on leash. And we personally just think that going forward as a community, as we continue to have more people moving in, as we get more crowded, there's more dogs, more people, it's just a safety concern having any kind of dogs off leash, and especially with Emerson because it is so kind of small and tucked in there.
But the other point with Emerson is there's no playground, there's no sports fields. So there's really nothing that would make it be dangerous for children or anybody else for that matter.
Well, that's not necessarily true to say for anybody else. Like dogs can go after adults too, or other dogs. So it was just what we think as a community, what we think from our conversations over the years is best for the community is to have on leash dogs at all of the parks unless there is an enclosed fence.
So the minority of people get to make the decision on what happens with that park. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, we are the commission and we're making these suggestions. City council will actually end up having the final say in everything, but this is our recommendations as elected members of the community to represent the other community members and what we think is best for the community.
Wow.
All right, that seems like it might be it then.
Hello, can you hear me? This is Paul.
Yeah, hi, Paul, we can hear you.
Okay, I think I lost audio for a second with you. I don't think I heard, because for the last 30 seconds, Charles was, as soon as Charles finished, I didn't hear anything, so.
Yeah,
Not sure what
I don't
happened.
think there was no speaking during that.
Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't lose it then.
Yeah.
I had a, I had a question and a clarification. So on Jason, you are not going to recommend a specific fencing plan, only that there is some kind of a fencing plan.
Yeah, that's correct. We are going to suggest that there is an enclosed fenced dog park in Jason, but we're leaving it up to the Parks and Rec Department to determine what they think is the best area for that fenced area in the park. And also, it's going to be, one of our concerns is maintenance and the financial, aspects of having dog parks and things like that. So we're really leaving it up to the Parks and Rec Department to make those determinations. We're just suggesting enclosed fenced area at Jason.
Okay. And then on Duncan Park, in the December mediated plan, Duncan was going to be an off-leash area. And then with no sports fields. In June, after the June meeting, it was going to be both off-leash and sports fields, sort of like it is now. And now you're recommending that that there not be off-leash there. Can you walk me through the thought process there?
Yeah, so our original recommendation from last year included Duncan no longer being on leash. So we kind of went back to that original thought and feeling. It really, again, I said, it comes down to our feelings that the off-leash dog program just really kind of needs to phase out in the city. Things need to be enclosed for dogs, and then the parks need to be on leash. So we kind of went back to our original feelings based on the conversations that we have had many years leading up to this point. And again, this is the subcommittee's recommendations to City Council based on what we think. Also, they are going to get, all of the survey data, all of the other presentation materials, and then it's up to them to, actually decide what happens. This is just what we think as the Parks and Rec Commission and off-leash subcommittee.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. Okay. Anything you want to add, Steve?
Not for now. I mean, I know that we can go back and reemphasize, and I think all of the survey data and all of the presentations will be made public, but for anyone who wants to go back and review that data, there is almost zero consensus after a year of work between all of the parties involved. So it was tough for us, not only the subcommittee, but I'm assuming when the full board takes a look at this and votes, to sort of make heads or tails of what the community actually wanted. So we're kind of on the side of, well, we have a reasonable argument for doing what we were doing before, and there wasn't a convincing data argument on either side to sort of modify what we did initial proposal, beyond seeing what limited survey data actually matched up and what limited, less than limited discussion back and forth happened, particularly with Jason. So there was actually at Emerson, the city survey data was more than 60% was recommending that it not be off leash. And then Jason was probably 75% of the entire meetings of a year was solely focused on Jason. So at that point, that was the discussion that came up. Was we went through tons of different fencing ideas. Christina's PowerPoint will show what they came up with, but there was a discussion with us back and forth as well, like how feasible it was for Parks and Rec, or how reasonable it was for them to go manage a temporary fence. So we just said, we are not the fencing experts. We are not the ones who need to coordinate that landscaping. We will recommend a fence, and then beyond that, we'll leave it up to the experts. But beyond that, I think you did pretty well in summarizing it. And I just wasn't sure if Jim or Monica or Steve or anyone else there had any questions.
Yeah, that was well said. Thank you for that. I think this is the most quiet anyone's ever been on this issue, you guys.
I didn't know if there was anything that the board wanted to discuss regarding the somewhat colorful responses we got that Debbie sent out. Was there any discussion of that? Or were you guys more to
Hold on 1 second, our speakers are.
Oh.
You guys back? Can you hear us? We can't hear you either. I can hear you, Kate, though.
I can hear you too. I can't tell what they're thinking or anything.
It was just like no response. Like,
I know.
Are we horrible and we're just gonna get fired? Or are we just like, just make a decision? Doesn't
Volunteer
matter.
position. We can't get fired.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear us now?
Yes, we
We can.
can.
Okay, all right. So Jim had a few comments about his experience, so let's have Jim just say a few words on that.
I'm just going back prior to this particular task force and what the Parks and Rec Commission had discussed in the past regarding Duncan Park
Mhm.
and that fencing. I know I, for one, had real reservations regarding that fence. I mean, it's not a very big park to begin with. And then to put in this fence that goes across, that separates even more, it's not. If you go out there with children who play in the playground and then run off to the big field, that's been eliminated because of the fence. And I know there was numerous community members that didn't like this idea of that one fence. So that goes back, that objection for me goes back prior to your recommendations.
Thanks, Jim. Yeah, we feel the same way. It's just like, it's a small park and it's very beautiful and we know the neighborhood loves it. And we just feel like to put a fence in the middle of it really kind of just takes it, you know, the sense of community that could be there and the ease of being in that park. So that's why we felt that was probably best to not do the fence.
Yeah,
Or
it was
have
kind of
dogs on leash or off leash there.
50 thing where putting a fence there sort of satisfied no one. It was
Mhm.
like, it allows it to be off leash, but it makes a very off leash dog park with a fence on one side and it cuts the use down for everyone who doesn't want off.
Yeah. And I think another point that I think we, at least people on commission, are always thinking of, we are a landlocked city.
Mhm.
We have been since this came up 20 years ago. There has not, in that 20-year period, been any land that's come available that's large enough for a real regular park or off-leash park. Going back to the consideration when Centennial was the original recommendation for an off-leash fenced park. Canine Corral was the second choice. And the community became very vocal about Centennial Park, where it would be located on the back side, had a real security issue, especially at night. And everybody realized on the task forces then and on city council and agreed that Canine Corral, that site was better, even though it was part of Bellevue Park and then considered as the nature area. I mean, it was the nature area in Bellevue Park, what it was referred to. So I guess I'm just trying to go back a long ways and say you're coming up with the same types of objections and conclusions that we have over the past 20 years.
Yeah, and to be
And I
honest, that's
think the
kind of where we
conclusion
go. Sorry, go ahead, Jim.
the conclusion of Cushing Park was in the survey. It was a major one, as much of a major one, or at least almost, as Jason Park remaining off leash. And I think mainly looking at Jason Park and is how do we handle that?
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of stuck with, I mean, the Duncan and Centennial, there was discussion both sides, but we sort of got, you know, it was tough call either way because there wasn't really a great place to fence. But at the same time, other than just an investment in status quo, there was sort of an overwhelming majority on, I would say, one side to not have off-leash dog parks. So it was a sort of a situation where we can't really fence it, and there wasn't a whole lot of community backlash either with survey or within the subcommittee that was specific to Centennial or Duncan. So it was sort of a, hey, you know, there is a way to limit this, and then we can put fences everywhere. And the discussion was, well, Northwest Greenbelt is just not a great place to fence. The shape of it is just not really feasible. And it's also tucked sort of back in a semi-industrial area. So it's sort of that one, literally no one has ever discussed Northwest Greenbelt in any meetings for the year. So it's kind of like that one can stay. But beyond that, the Duncan and Centennial was just sort of a lesser of two evils of, we know there's sports there, we know what happens, and there was not a huge backlash or discussion during the subcommittee hearings or meetings. So it's unfortunately where we ended up. And I'm kind of glad that it sort of backs up where you were 20 years ago or however the discussion came up. But it also then leads me to look to the person to your right to say, hey, this is a discussion that's been happening for 20 years. Let's not have this happen again. And if it stays off leash, it stays off leash. And our recommendation is whatever the city council chooses to. But Kate's been fighting this a long time. Jim's fought it a long time. Mark, who's not present, fought it a long time. I've been on it for like a year and I'm tired of it. So just one way or the other, make a decision, and then we will not revisit it again unless there's, you know, obviously a major incident.
Absolutely. And, you know, we're celebrating Romans Park and all of the great work that's gone on there to improve that park. And we have so many great things going on with the Parks and Rec department that this is just an issue that it really should not be an issue. We should be focusing on other things we can do to improve our Parks and Rec department and the city. And this is just one of those things that we keep getting hung up on, and it's time to move on from it, you know? Did we lose them again? Oh.
We just have them dumbfounded with our finesse and speaking quality, so they have nothing to say. It's great.
The person knows how to raise their hand properly. We don't know.
Right. Well, I watched the meeting and I thought you had a robust conversation, and really the takeaway for me was when I think it was Chair Husband said, you know, maybe we just need to decide if we're a community that is going to enforce leash laws all the way around. And if council decided to do that, then Parks and Recreation could just decide where we can fit fenced-in dog parks, because it would no longer be a question as to whether your dog, because this doesn't just apply to the parks. And if you go to the code enforcement division, you'll see that people and other pets are having incursions with other animals that are unfortunate, but that could be prevented by having your dog on a leash, properly fencing your yard, you know, taking precautions. And so why wouldn't we do that on a public scale? So I would, you know, if I had my druthers, I'd take it a step further and get rid of the Northwest Greenbelt and just have consistency, because wherever you have a loophole, you have a problem. Potentially, if you're enforcing any type of standard. But I thought your conversation was great, and it was, I enjoyed listening.
Thank you.
For
Yeah.
what, I heard you the first few times you mentioned that you'd like to study it, so that's my goal as well, is to finish this conversation and make a policy decision. And I think, I can't speak for all of council, but I think we're ready as well. I want to make sure that I recognize the work that has gone into this, from you guys and from the Parks Division itself. I know the discussion wasn't always easy. And so, my goal is to ensure that we honor that work. So I will be taking your recommendations to council and representing your interests as my vote. So that's my intent right now. There's always room to think about it a little more, but that's where I'm at now. That's what this commission wants to do as well.
Great, thank you. And the plan is I'm going to be writing up this new proposal because we have the original one from last year. So this weekend I will write this up. I'll be sharing with Steve and Mark for any kind of feedback or finessing that we want to do. And then I'll be sending it over to Christina to, put it in the pipeline to be discussed at the city council meeting.
So
Yeah, Kate, question.
That wants to move this forward to council. And then like we've talked about on the 23rd, probably Kate will be in attendance, maybe Steve and Mark as well, to come up and present the commission's recommendations as part of the overall presentation going to council. So that's where we'll see it. So let's take a formal vote. Debbie will call the names out.
Okay, can I just make one more issue?
Yeah.
Suggested issue, and that would indicate you have mentioned, I believe it's four different groups, not groups, but people are groups of interest. And when I heard that, I thought, there is one that's missing, and it's one that's very, very involved. That's Parks and Recreation staff.
Yeah.
They're dealing with this all the time, and I think they should be named.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that have canine corral, deal with wood chips, deal with things going on there, shutting it down, cleaning up adjacent park, those types of things, grass being shut down. I think it's 3 times that we've changed or had fence Jason during the winter.
Yeah.
So I think
that was
acknowledge that it's more than just Parks and Rec Commission. It's the staff, the actual people out there working.
Yeah, and Jim,
Go ahead.
We discussed that periodically, and Dave Lee, the nicest person in the world, repeatedly said it was not, the city could handle it, but that was one of the big reasons why when it was the I guess subcommittee proposal coming out of the task force side that was to put the temporary fence up adjacent, we sort of discussed that. We're like, that is going to, we think, either cause a whole lot more work to go out and take that thing down once a day or twice a day, or it's going to cause even more confusion by someone saying, well, I didn't know the fence was up, but I was allowed to go over there yesterday, so I didn't know, and it just makes code enforcement's life harder. So it sort of narrowing the scope a little bit made more sense to us coming from that side, especially when it reduces some of the enforcement and overall workload of maintaining it if you're dropping the dog area down. And we made it very clear through the whole thing that if you're making, a fenced off dog area or even an off leash area, the grass is not going to be maintained. And that was kind of the discussion with Emerson as well, was like, we make it off leash. That's not a big park. So the grass is not going to stay. It's going to look like crap, and people are going to get upset that they go run around with their kids in there. There's nothing but dirt. So yeah, we definitely reiterated that more than once, and Christina and Dave, bless them, were fully on board with managing whatever we wanted, but that was kind of the change in the fencing area for Jason especially.
And Jim, I will say that when I write up this proposal, I am going to comment on all of the groups involved in it and kind of, how we've all worked together through this process. And I think you are spot on about talking about the Parks and Rec department and Christina and Dave and everybody. So I will make sure to include them in the proposal that I write.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, right down to the workers, because
Yep, yes,
Dave is always good at saying, we'll do whatever you want to do. We can facilitate whatever you decide. That's, and I'm just saying, those workers that are out there doing it, they're the ones that are effective, and they are the ones that should be acknowledged for what they're doing.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, we hope with this to just remove the ambiguity around the dog park rules and everything. Like, let's just get this cleaned up and sorted out, and then we can go do some other cool things for the city and the parks.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the Parks and Commission Task Force recommendation to City Council regarding off-leash privileged parks and off-leash dog parks? Monica.
Jim, did you say it, Jim, since Kate and I are sort of invested parties?
I don't know if we can motion or anything with this
Yeah,
one.
I'm acting chair, but I'm not the chair. I'm the acting chair, so I will second
Awesome.
and open it up for any further discussion.
I did have one question. Kate, did we need to try to send the proposal out to the member, not only to me and Mark, we'll see it, but also to the members that are not here in case they want to see it?
Absolutely. That's a really great call. I would be happy to send it to the entire commission once I finish writing it up. I think that's a really good decision.
I'm going to read off the names if you will say that you're in support of it. Monica Johnson. Yes. Kate Truesdell.
Yes.
Jim Woodward.
Yes.
Stephen Young.
Yes.
Thank you.
Stephen Ward, a voting member of Parks and No? Okay.
But I will be voting, so.
You get to vote.
Steve, this is entirely in your hands now. Please relieve us of this madness.
Thank you, guys. I know how much work it's been. So, well, at least I like to think I know how much work it's been. You feel like you're on the hamster wheel going round and round and round over and over and over again. So I think I'm glad to see this drawing to the close.
Great. Thank you.
That's when they are never been at a meeting at midnight talking about dogs. I know the answer. Next item on the agenda is staff's choice.
There's a concert tonight. Concert until 7 o'clock. So 8 o'clock. So it's 2 hours. We did have to postpone the concert we were scheduled for last week due to the water distribution site being here at the Civic Center area. So that's been rescheduled for September 15th, and that was the Walker Williams band. So they'll be coming back on September 15th to make up that concert. And I mentioned, sorry, so yeah, perfect. If I'm missing it, let me know. Okay. And then so Romans Park reopening is the 21st, and then Celebrate Inglewood is going to happen on the 28th, which is a Saturday in August, from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. over at the police station. And it's really a family-focused event. There's going to be big truck displays for kids to touch a truck. Most city departments will have booths set up and be passing out information and hopefully some fun materials for the kids and families coming out. We'll have a bike rodeo. Something that was just added today, which we're excited about, is we're going to do a sensory time for ADA. So we'll be inviting a lot of the nonprofits that work with kids and adults that have sensory challenges to come out at 9:45 till 10:20 to participate in the event. So it'll still be touch a truck, but everything's going to be silent. So we're excited to add that into that event and have that. And then we have a block party coming up on September 18th as well. So mark your calendars. We'll remind you about that one at the next commission meeting. We've got a lot of good fun events happening this month and next.
Awesome.
Oh, and the golf course, if you're a golfer, it's Celebrate Golf Month, it's National Golf Month, and so they're running a lot of specials of the course this whole month. So if you're interested, check out their website, they've got a lot posted on there.
Hey, Christina, question for you. When they had the boil water ordinance, did we shut the water off to the parks?
We shut off the drinking fountains.
Okay.
As we didn't want people to drink water as everything was being investigated, but the restrooms.
Yeah.
We did post signs to warn people, don't drink the tap water.
Yeah, it was like 48 hours and I hadn't actually gone to a park during that time and I wasn't sure if we had done that or not. So thank you.
Yeah, we were going to do this for the first hour and a half of the boil order going out. We had park staff run out and do that whenever he was drinking the water, but as you know, that was an isolated incident, so if you did drink it, you're okay.
Yeah, if you want to know exactly how all that worked, watch the water board meeting. 2 nights,
Oh, council.
2 nights
council
ago.
meeting. Yeah,
well, council meeting in order. Water board.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's right, yeah, exactly.
the city did very well on handling it.
Yes.
Yeah, we were proud of the staff, everybody stepped up. It was fun to be a part of a city that everybody was helping, no matter what department they came out of. So that was nice to help serve our residents quickly.
All right, any further staff?
That's it. Oh, and the guide, sorry, Allison was reminding me, the peanut gallery said that the citizen guide is out. Hopefully you received it at your house. If not, we do have plenty of guides to pick up at the city hall area here, the library, the rec centers too. Next stop.
Okay.
Is that it?
Monica, you have anything for Commissioner Choice?
All good. Thanks for your work earlier this week.
Steven?
I'm good.
Hey,
I have nothing.
okay. I got the citizen guide earlier. And I noticed that there's a mural at the skate park. That's complete. I didn't know that, but I apologize, it wasn't at the last. So,
Yeah, it was great. Actually, that was finished in May. Before the school was officially truly out. So I think they knocked that mural out in a couple days. It was pretty fun. We're gonna try to incorporate the mural in the renovation. We're doing it Cushing, so it's not completely lost. It's kind of a fun time capsule mural. If you haven't seen it, that incorporates diversity and mask wearing and all of that. So it really captures 2020 and 2021 as we roll through it.
council members' choice.
Report, see you guys in 2 weeks.
All right. So you have no further business. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
5:16 or 6:16.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Great work, Stephen and Kate.
Thanks. We're almost there. Light at the end of the tunnel. See you guys.
Bye.